Monday morning after an absolutely sensational first round of the National Rugby League. Yes, we are here to talk all sport, but in this hour on a Monday, if you're a new listener to the program, on Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy, we have the one and only Cameron Smith joining us, the GOAT, who's actually basking in the glory. There's sort of a maroon glow about him this morning. He's got pineapples, he's got mangoes. All four Queensland clubs. We're not just 1, 2 or 3, but all four. Cameron, can you say hand on heart you're expecting that to happen?
Of course, Vossy. How are we going, Brandy? How are you? Great to be back. Of course, I had a firm belief that all four clubs were going to win. The Dolphins
and
yesterday,
Melbourne.
Fantastic. Plus Melbourne. What a great weekend.
What a weekend.
what a weekend.
Yeah. Well, first up, let's deal with the Dolphins. That was an extraordinary win. Am I feeling like that because I just thought the Roosters would win? I just thought it's too tough. It's too big an ask for the Dolphins to do it round one against a side. Although they're missing a couple of players, but still, this is a side that is up there with the top 2 or 3 teams as chances to win the premiership. So
absolutely,
to do it in round one, unbelievable.
Yeah, it was, and to be at the ground yesterday was great. Just to see, the crowd build. From about an hour in to kick off, 35,000 there yesterday, fellas. Like, it was just a remarkable atmosphere, and majority of those people were all Dolphins. They were all there in their red and white gear. They all had those fins on their head, and they started waving them around as the Dolphins sort of kicked on the scoreboard. But it was just a wonderful atmosphere, a wonderful moment for not just the Dolphins, but rugby league. It was just great to see a new team in the competition, and particularly up there in Brisbane. And the way that they went about their football yesterday, when they got a sniff and they seen opportunities, they just took it to the Roosters. Which, Brandy, I agree with you. Very few people would have thought that win would have gone to the Dolphins.
Now, an old teammate of yours, who I thought he changed the game in the sort of final 15 minutes of that first half. With his defence, Felice Kafusi was
outstanding.
He won the Arthur Beetson medal, didn't he? And deservedly so.
Yeah, that's right. He took out the Artie Legacy medal, I think it's called, and off the back of those game-changing moments through defence. And he I'll tell you what, one of those moments he took on his old teammate Brandon Smith, where he absolutely lined him up with the right shoulder and really just give it to him. He went straight through his rib cage, and he knocked Brandon down, and he kept him on the ground there for a little bit. But I think he took it upon himself yesterday, where the game was sort of seesawing end to end. No team really had control of the match, and he took it upon himself to change the momentum through his defence and through his aggression. He looked, either side of him. He's got some young players around him, not a lot of experience, and he just said, "Look, I'm going to change it for my team. I'm going to change the fortunes for my footy side," and a deserved winner of the medal yesterday.
You know what it was too, Smitty? It was an example that you can change the state of the game through your defence, but
exactly
without making contact with players' heads.
That's right, yeah.
His tackles were waist high.
Yep.
Just snapped them in half. And we saw over the weekend a number of players try and do that, but they got it wrong.
Yep.
They made contact with heads, and that was just an example of great defence.
It was just good old-fashioned tackle technique, wasn't it? Where you'd bend your back, you get your shoulder in around the stomach or the rib cage, and they were a couple of bone-rattling tackles, but a couple of them forced errors as well. So you're exactly right, Brandy. You can actually change your team's fortunes, and you can change the momentum with your defence if you if you think about it, if you apply yourself properly, yeah.
Now, Cameron Smith is here with us. If you'd like to fire in a question, you can do that on the Edgewater Homes text line, 0457 736 736. You can call the Motorola open line, 1300 01 1170. Cameron, you haven't been on board. You don't realise that Motorola have come on board, and we have this young lady promote the open line. Here she is.
Hello, Moto.
She's become a fan favourite.
She's very popular. 1300 01 1170. You can speak directly to the GOAT on the Motorola open line. Now, look, Cameron, one sandwich doesn't make a picnic, one clown doesn't make a circus. It is one win for the Dolphins. And Wayne Bennett said yesterday, let us enjoy today rather than look ahead. But in all seriousness, are you readjusting forecasts on the Dolphins after just one match, or what do you think's the realistic pass mark goal for this year?
Well, look, I think it's still. I still want to see a little bit more football be played before I start jumping on the bandwagon of the Dolphins. Don't get me wrong, yesterday's result and just the entire match at Suncorp was just a fantastic afternoon. It really was. It was a great afternoon of the football, big crowd, great result for the Dolphins, and it was just, as I said, a really nice afternoon. I'd like to just sit and watch for maybe the next month to 6 weeks to see how they can back that up. Because if the Dolphins would have turned up yesterday and not put in a performance similar to what they did, I think a lot of people would have been disappointed. Just given the occasion. As I said, it was a huge crowd, great atmosphere. It's hard not to be up for those matches. And it's your first up hit out. So I expected them to get out there and perform well, perform bravely. To be honest, I thought the Roosters were going to win, but they were fantastic. But I just want to sit and now watch to see how their next 6 weeks pan out. Like, with all due respect to the Dolphins, like it's easy to get up for one game. The hardest thing, particularly in this competition, is to keep that level of performance week in, week out.
Okay, let me just update. I'm going to update the Dally M leaderboard because we spoke to Michelle Bishop about the Dally M's. They're going. The judges won't be publicised. So, and there's 2 judges for each game.
Okay.
So I'll give you the players that got 3 points from both judges, and there's 5 of them. Harry Grant is on 6 points, so got 3 points from both judges. Chance Nickel Clockstad also picked up 6 points.
Wow. Really?
So Chance got both 3 points from both judges. Daly Cherry Evans, that's an easy one. Cherry Evans was my player of the round.
Mm-hmm.
Lockie Ilias also picked up 6 points. And out of yesterday's game, I'll ask Cameron his opinion of Jeremy Marshall King.
Wow.
Had a game, didn't he?
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
He got 6 points.
Yeah, no, that's and that's fair enough. He actually started the game extremely well. He took on the Roosters early, made a couple of little line breaks, set up a try for the hammer, and then passed a lovely ball to Mark Nichols as well. So he was heavily involved, and just I think it shows that it's a great pickup by the Dolphins. Picking up Marshall King from the Dogs.
Now, we've got so much to talk to Cameron about. We'll ask him about the Tigers leaving Appy Coruscant on the bench, and I'm sure Tigers fans would love to hear the reaction of the greatest hooker of all time here, Cameron Smith, to that. But we do have to talk about HIAs as well. We'll get to that. You can ring through on the open line, 1300 01 1170 for Motorola. Don't forget, you can check out the latest smartphones from Motorola at motorola.com.au, and we have the Edgewater Homes text line up and running today. And just we're trying to bring you back down a little bit, the New South Welshman listening. Stuart Cronulla says, Cameron, all 4 Queensland teams won't win next week. He's declared it, and the reason I thought, there you go. Well, that's right, because the Cowboys play the Broncos.
So
they all can't
mathematically,
win next week.
Oh, well done.
That's
a great statement.
Well done, Stu. We're clinging to something. Clinging to something. Oh. Let's go to the open line right now. Say hello, Moto. It is Miles from Byron Bay listening in on the SEN app. Wants to speak to you, Cameron. Say good day to Miles.
Morning, Miles.
Morning, Cam. Morning, boys. Hello, Moto. Just wanted to ask the question to all of you boys, but particularly you, Cam, just in regards to the HIAs. I know they're always going to be an issue. We're a physical game, we know that. But as a fan looking from the 90s, 2000s up to the period when you just retired, do you think because the NRL has sped the game up, it's an obvious sort of answer that, yes, there's more conflict with head injuries, tackles, things like that, but just because it's making the game more, interesting, they say, do you think it'd be better if we could possibly, and it's probably not in the realm of possibility, but just from your thoughts, boys, do you think if we brought it back a bit, where we got rid of the 6 agains and we slowed it down a little bit, we'd get rid of so many HIAs? Because I reckon every game we're getting 2 or 3 head knocks. And I just feel like it's actually ruining the game.
Yeah, look, it's a fair point, Miles, and it's an argument that I've heard on several occasions to say that, well, the game has become so fast due to several rule changes that there's more fatigue in the game, and just naturally, with more fatigue brings clumsiness and times where players particularly are going in to make tackles or attempted tackles where they just throw an arm out, they catch people high, or even injure themselves if they go low when their technique isn't great because they are a little bit more fatigued, and they pick up a hip or a knee. There is that argument, but it's a very difficult one to say. How can we manipulate the game to prevent head knocks? Because since 1908, ever since the very first game, there has been head knocks in our game. That's just, unfortunately, because of the nature of our sport and the high impact, high collision part of it, aspect of our game, which makes our game so unique and great, there are going to be some head knocks along the way. Now, whether that is because of the game being sped up, I believe it has contributed in some cases. There's no doubt about that, because there's so much more fatigue in the game. Whether we want to change the game and slow it down, that's another question, I guess.
Yeah, that is a good point, but Miles, you do bring up something that sort of makes sense. I was just going through all the injuries that happened, all the head knocks over the weekend.
Yep.
And most of them, I'd say 95% of them are either head clashes, or players getting their head in the wrong spot tackling.
Yep. So tackle technique.
Hips and knees. Yep.
For you, Miles, we've got a Signet Power Boost Bank to send to you, valued at $60. Signet Power Boost Bank will keep your phone, tablet and earbuds powered 24/7. Miles, well done, mate. Have a great Monday.
Thank you, boys. You too. Have a good one.
Good on you,
man.
Miles.
Stay on the line there. We'll get your details. I just think bigger, faster, stronger. The example I like to give, the game, our athletes are bigger, faster, stronger. Wayne Pearce. Mitchell Pearce was heavier, the halfback of the modern game. Mitchell Pearce heavier than his dad was at any time in his career, and his dad playing the back row for Australia. So we're bigger, faster, stronger athletes now. And
but that has happened.
Impact, all of that's going to contribute.
Yeah, that's happened right throughout the history of rugby league, Vossy, because I remember Ron Willey coaching me in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, and Ron saying to me, I was 84 kilos, and Ron said to me, mate, 84 kilos, you would have been playing in the back row when I played. So in the 50s, he said, at 84 kilos, you'd be a back rower. So it's just,
Brandy,
each generation gets bigger.
Brandy, can I ask you a question? And Vossy, you can answer this too. When the game had a 5 metre rule for the defensive line, was there less head knocks in the game then? Because of do you see what the point I'm making? Because of the distance that the players are apart now, there's the ball carriers carry a lot more momentum into the defensive line than what they did off a 5 metre.
The collision's bigger.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no doubt the collision's bigger.
Is
sure.
that contributing as well?
Well, it probably does. We wouldn't have in the 80s. We wouldn't have had any less head knocks, but the head knocks were different because head knocks were elbows and
swinging
knees.
arms.
Swinging arms. Yes,
They can't run without eyes, Cameron. They can't run without eyes. Was the saying back in the day.
Well, if you were on the ground and didn't get whacked in the head, well, that was a rare thing.
Yeah.
I think I might have been dazed every time I hit the ground.
What about the invoice from the independent doctor in the 80s? He would have needed 7 on the sideline, like a posse of independent doctors. But there was a no-yard rule at one stage, like no-yard rule. There was nothing doing. But Brandy and I attended last week, Cameron, a referee's explanation of rule tweaks for the year.
Yep.
And the buzz phrase seemed to come out of them. They said, we want to widen the corridor. The corridor they talked about, the attacking corridor, and that is one of the reasons why defenders this year have to have both feet either in line or behind the referee at the 10 metres. It's just that fraction further away, but they're talking about their concentration on the corridor. So they're going the other way to what you're suggesting there, Cameron, and I would say anecdotally there's a lot of proof there to say you're right. It contributes to more head knocks, more dramatic collisions.
That's right. Yeah,
that's
well,
right.
I actually...
I tell you what you... You did need, Cam, in the 5-yard rule day, you needed a good dummy half. If the dummy half was slow, by the time you're catching the ball,
Defenders
they're
are on top
you.
of you.
Like
Yeah.
they're in your face.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, we've got Ryan on the open line right now. Ryan, a Queenslander. Ryan's calling in from Mackay. So, Brandy, we'll just take a back seat. I'll go make a cup of tea. Ryan,
Have a rest,
you
boys.
can have a chat with Cameron there. Ryan, say good day to Cameron. Cameron, say good day, Ryan.
Hey Cam,
Hey,
there's a
Ryan.
lot of social media about the Broncos supporters wearing Dolphins headgear, and some of the older Broncos were saying, if you're a true Broncos supporter, you won't wear any Dolphins gear. I'm like, if Broncos play Dolphins, I'm wearing a bit of both. And so if Melbourne hypothetically had another team, would you wear Storm as well as the other team, or only Storm? Can you support both if they're they were a one-club town and now they've got another team?
Nah, you got to be one club, don't you? You can't split between the two. Look, I actually like that the fans are embracing the new club, Ryan. But you're either Bronco or a Dolphin, have to be. You can't hedge your bets. Although, fellas,
Can
interesting
you moonlight
story.
Early?
Interesting
Can
story.
you moonlight early days?
Oh yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you flip early days and then make your mind up? If you're sort of a part-time Broncos supporter and you think, oh, Dolphins, I'll give them a crack. So early days, maybe flip and flop, but at some stage you've got to make your mind up.
Make a decision. Get to halfway point, see who's higher on the ladder, and then jump on that team. I think that might work. But a funny story, quick one, Vossy. Down in Melbourne,
Yes.
So we have a lot of Kiwis living in Melbourne. So they turn up each week with their Melbourne Storm gear on and support the mighty Storm. Come Anzac round though, when the traditional game between the Storm and the Warriors, we'd run out and I'd look over the fence and see some familiar faces, and I'd think, hang on a minute, they're Storm fans, but no, they're wearing they got the Warriors jersey on.
Nice. Blood is thicker than water.
Yep.
Blood is thicker
Takes
than
on
water.
the international flavour. Yep.
Now, listen, we need to take a break. Keep the calls and texts coming for Cameron Smith, our special guest. Brandy as well here. 1300 01 1170. Text 0457 736 736. As we go to a break, Phil Rothfield reporting on the Telegraph website, Joseph Swali'i has pledged his loyalty to the Roosters by signing a short-term extension. He's rejected a multi-million-dollar opportunity from Rugby Union. He's committed to the Roosters until the end of 2024, so it's not a massive extension. The club hoping to lock him down over the next 18 months on a longer deal, but that means he's in rugby league for at least this season and next. Joseph Swali'i, and if you saw him yesterday, seriously, Steve Matai, not that Steve Matai's dead, but I'm saying Steve Matai reincarnated as a centre defending, coming outside in, look out teams this year. Joseph has a hit on him.